What's up, A to Z Sports? Welcome into a Wednesday here on the show. We've talked a lot of draft coming out of the NFL Combine earlier in the week, but switching gears a little bit as free agency less than a week away from the legal negotiating window and just about 1 week away today from the official beginning of the NFL new year, where next Wednesday, Jack, deals can become official for free agency. There's been a deadline that passed yesterday. That was the franchise tag deadline that passed on Tuesday at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, Nashville time, which means that we know a little bit more of who is available and who's not available on the free agent market. Titans didn't use the franchise tag, so we knew that was going to happen. Derrick Henry officially going to enter free agency for the first time in his NFL career. But that's not the topic today. The Titans are being linked to another tagged player that they could be interested in a trade for. And so we'll discuss who this tagged trade target may be, where this interest is coming from. And we'll talk about a couple rival free agents who the Titans could have some interest in. And one of them is a brand new free agent. One of the rivals had to do a little housekeeping yesterday after they used the franchise tag and cut some players on defense at positions of need for the Titans. So, Jack, it's also Wednesday, which means we'll wrap up the show with Wednesday sports trivia. Welcome in. Good morning to you. Let's get this thing rolling.
Absolutely. Happy to be here this Wednesday morning, hump day. Look, it's a big day because we're talking about potential free agents and trade targets the Titans can add and improve their roster by bringing on. I know you guys have opinions about all of these guys. I see it on Facebook. So let's do our homework early here. If you're watching on Facebook, don't forget to share the show. Also, like the show on your way in. So go ahead and give it a thumbs up. It helps us. It helps us grow the show. It helps us get out there to new potential listeners. And that's only good for everybody. So go ahead and like the show and share the show if you're watching on Facebook. Share it to your Titans Facebook groups. Let's get everybody in here. We want to hear from you guys in the chat all show long. If you're watching on YouTube, tap the bell icon near the top of your screen. Turn your notifications on. You do not want to miss an update right now. Next week is the beginning of free agency. There's going to be a lot of movement in the NFL, especially when it comes to the Titans with all the money they have to play with. So go ahead and turn your notifications on if you're watching on YouTube so you're up to date with every Titans move. Finally, if you're watching on Twitch, text that Twitch link around to your Titans text groups. Let's get every Titans fan we possibly can in here this morning. If you want to kill the first hour while you're at work, this is the place to do it. So go ahead and text that Twitch link out. And finally, Austin, let's get this show on the road.
Yep, let's do it officially. Welcome into A to Z Sports, powered as always by the BetMGM app. I'm Austin Stanley. He's Jack Gentry of the Tighten Up Podcast, and we are Nashville's on-demand sports talk network, going live weekday mornings at 8 Central Time on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Links to the show segment by segment on our Twitter X timeline. Also hit us up on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads for more great Titans content. We got to thank our sponsors because they make it happen for us, and they help out all of you, like Wilson County Hyundai. Make them a part of your new car buying process. See them in Lebanon or online at wilsoncountyhyundai.com. The Bone and Joint Institute, boneandjointtn.org. The region's destination for comprehensive orthopedic and sports medicine care. Farm Bureau Health Plans. Get better with Farm Bureau Health Plans. FBHP.com/ATOZ is where to get a quote. And Krebs Kubota, an elite Kubota dealer with 3 great locations across the mid-state, Columbia, Franklin, and Murfreesboro. Their website is KrebsKubota.com. So, Jack, franchise tag deadline comes and goes yesterday. There were some big names that were not franchise tagged. We'll talk about a couple of those later on in the show. There are some big names that got franchise tagged, including 2 AFC South players, Michael Pittman Jr. in Indianapolis and edge rusher Josh Allen in Jacksonville. No running backs got the franchise tag this season. That was widely reported across the NFL the last few days. A lot of bigger name running backs, Saquon Barkley, Josh Jacobs, Tony Pollard, and others to go along with Derrick Henry. And I did see Jay in the YouTube chat early saying it's been reported Henry is selling his house in Green Hills. Jay follows up and says, sounds like Henry is gone. And I will tell you, Jack, that, yeah, I've heard that Derrick Henry has been preparing to move out of Nashville for over a year now. That this was something that he knew the writing was on the wall. The end of his Titans career was approaching. Last offseason, there were some things done to prepare Derrick Henry to be able to move on from the Titans if the Titans decided to do that early. But in putting his house on the market is definitely one of those things that you have to do when you're going to move and change teams, especially since Derrick Henry spends a lot of his offseason in Dallas, Texas. So again, that Jay brings that up, and I do not know. And Curtis, if Ryan Stonehouse is listing his house, I doubt it. But I had heard that last winter and spring that Derrick Henry was preparing for potential sell of his home in the Nashville area. So again, that's not necessarily new things, but there you go.
Yeah, the Stonehouse comment I think is just because he's a real estate agent, and if
right.
Derrick Henry does need to steal or sell his house, Stonehouse is a guy you can call. But yeah, I haven't seen an official report on the Henry house stuff. I know it made some waves on Reddit, and we hit on that on the Tighten Up podcast, which is out this morning. So go ahead and check that out if you haven't. Shameless plug. But I haven't seen anything official. I did see a Reddit comment that said, there's been moving trucks over there. There's been painters. There's been landscapers, all kind of preparing Derrick Henry to sell his house here. And, there's potential landing spots like Dallas and Baltimore. I think Dallas is the main one to keep your eye on. But, yeah, so I have seen some of that stuff. I don't know how real it is, but it does
I'm telling you,
feel
it's
like
real.
the beginning of the end.
Yeah, based on what I heard a year ago, is that this was kind of a situation that Henry's camp was preparing for. Derrick Henry has a lot of people in his camp. He's got football agents, he's got marketing agents, and he's got life stuff agent, and life stuff people that deal with, a car needs an oil change. Derrick Henry doesn't have time to go run by the nearest Jiffy Lube to get his oil change, right? So somebody else does that for him. So, Derrick Henry has life stuff people, and life stuff people were dealing with this preparation of the possibility a year ago. So anyway, that's not the topic for today. We'll see what happens moving forward with the Derrick Henry watch, as I highly doubt he is back with the Titans, as we all kind of know. But another big name franchise tag player has been linked to the Tennessee Titans for a potential trade and sign for a franchise tag player. We've talked a lot over the last month about T. Higgins possibly getting the franchise tag, and if you'd trade for T. Higgins after getting the franchise tag, and we'll find out what the reality is with T. Higgins and the Bengals situation on the franchise tag as this transpires over the next couple of months. Another player, this one just won his second Super Bowl. That would be cornerback L'Jarius Sneed, who received the non-exclusive franchise tag from the Kansas City Chiefs official yesterday. Sneed still has permission to seek a trade despite the trade designation. This coming from USA Today Sports. A person with direct knowledge of the situation told USA Today Sports that the Vikings, the Colts, the Titans, the Patriots, the Lions, the Falcons, and the Jaguars have all expressed interest in the Chiefs' corner. A person with USA Today told on the anonymity on the sensitivity of the situation. And a little add in there, a little overkill, I think. But so still, I think that's a long list. And this franchise tag has been floated out there for L'Jarius Sneed for quite a while. The deadline was yesterday, but the Chiefs are in a situation where Chris Jones and L'Jarius Sneed have their contracts expiring. Both are probably two of the top 3 to 4 defensive players on the roster. The Chiefs have some really good players under rookie contracts like Trent McDuffie, a corner, Nick Bolton at linebacker, George Karlaftis on the edge on the D-line as well, to go along with veterans Chris Jones and L'Jarius Sneed. But they used the tag on Sneed in hopes of getting a long-term deal done with Chris Jones. And so now the Chiefs giving Sneed an opportunity to seek a trade, and a long list of teams there, Jack, interested in Sneed, according to USA Today: Vikings, Colts, Titans, Patriots, Lions, Falcons, Jags. That is 7 teams interested in the franchise tag L'Jarius Sneed. What is your opinion of the Titans just being on this list? We'll talk about the trade and what you would have to give up, all the contract stuff. We'll get to that here in a few minutes. But what's your opinion on the fact that the Titans are on the list of 7 teams who have expressed interest in franchise tag corner from the Chiefs, L'Jarius Sneed?
Yeah, so I think it's great that the Titans have interest there. I think that Rand Carthon's job this offseason is to, turn over every stone in the free agent market and find players who fit your needs, and can help you get to or get back to winning an AFC South title as quickly as possible. And L'Jarius Sneed is one of those players. Now, there's a price to consider there. There's not only a contract you'd probably dish out, but also a pick you'd have to give up to add L'Jarius Sneed. But we'll talk about that here in a second. I think it's great that the Titans are in on this guy. Like, the Titans need to be interested in and checking in on everybody that's available at the cornerback position. And same with kind of the wide receiver spot when you need a supplemental guy behind D-Hop and possibly a Malik Neighbors or Roma Dunze, depending on how the draft board falls. But look, I think it's great the Titans are in on him. Does that mean I'm totally on board for them trading and then signing L'Jarius Sneed? Not necessarily, but I expect to hear the Titans being in on or interested in multiple big-time free agents this offseason, because at the end of the day, they need to make a splash. And L'Jarius Sneed is a splash-type player. 10 picks in 4 years, the best cornerback on a Super Bowl winning team. He's got experience playing under a great defensive coordinator, Steve Spagnuolo. There isn't much on the field that L'Jarius Sneed can't do. Now, is that justified with trade a potential second-round draft pick and a big contract? That's up for Rand Carthon in the front office to decide, and we'll hear from the chat here soon. But I think that just the fact that the Titans are in on L'Jarius Sneed is a good sign as the new league year approaches and comes actually next week on Wednesday.
Right. So again, here's the report that came out yesterday from USA Today Sports. One of their NFL reporters, as expected, the Chiefs officially placed the franchise tag on cornerback L'Jarius Sneed. Sneed has permission to seek a trade despite the tag designation. A person told USA Today Sports that teams involved or interested in Sneed are Vikings, Colts, Titans, Patriots, Lions, Falcons, Jags. Expressed interest in the Chiefs corner right there from USA Today Sports. So let's ask this question. Are you in or out on the idea of the Titans having interest in trading for franchise tag corner L'Jarius Sneed? Are you in or out on the Titans having interest in trading for franchise tag cornerback L'Jarius Sneed? We want in or out, and maybe why. If you've got an opinion on why, we'll get to all of your comments here on the show. Make sure you like the show. Hit that thumbs up button. We need way more likes on Facebook and on Instagram, YouTube. Congratulations. Facebook is back after being down for a few hours yesterday across the planet. So you guys hit that like button for Facebook being alive today. So let's get it in or out on L'Jarius Sneed. But first, Farm Bureau Health Plans is where you should turn for all of your health coverage needs. They can take care of you just like they have been doing for Tennesseans for over 75 years. So much has changed across our state during that time, generations and generations in technology and change. But one thing has stayed consistent. That's Farm Bureau Health Plans investment into their community and into their state. So Tennesseans have one place to go for the best health coverage, for the best rate, for the right coverage, for whatever your situation is, and that is Farm Bureau Health Plans. So they work with the Titans, they work with the Vols, they work with other colleges, universities, high schools, and youth sports programs across the entire state. If you go by that Little League baseball field this spring, you're probably going to see this logo out there hanging on the outfield fence, because Farm Bureau Health Plans cares about the community and they care about you too. And to get a quote for your health plan, to get better from your health plan, go to fbhp.com/ATOZ.
Hey, the Titans are looking for a go-to guy in free agency. If you're looking for a new sports book to go to for your sports betting needs, BetMGM is the place to do that. They've got a great deal going on right now. They're offering new users. If you sign up with with our bonus code A to Z Sports, you'll get up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if your first bet misses. So download BetMGM. New users plug in that code that you see on your screen, ATOZ Sports, and you'll receive up to $1,500 back if your first bet misses, only at BetMGM.
All right. So the question, are you in or out on the potential of the Titans having interest in trading For the franchise tag corner from Kansas City, L'Jarius Sneed, USA Today reporting the Titans, one of 7 teams, who have expressed interest in trading for L'Jarius Sneed. Jack, I will send you to the chat. There are like 170 comments that have happened since we asked the question. So we're back into that area, right? Where we ask a question and the comments go crazy. What are they saying? In or out on the Titans having interest in tag corner L'Jarius Sneed?
Yeah, Titans Kyle says hell nah to the nah. Ashley says she's in. So does Steven. Hashtag trade Burks. Titans Kyle is out. We've got Jaron saying in. Katie out. Sam says he's way out. Trevor S says out. Too expensive of draft capital. David says he's out. Jonathan agrees. He says it's a little too much to give up. Draft capital plus the money makes him out on the deal for L'Jarius Sneed. Jesse is out. Big time out on Sneed from Mike Cole. Costs way too much to trade for him. So we're seeing some reasons, right? The price is just too high for some Titans fans. Drebe's out. 100% out from Scott Weaver. Eric's out. In on the idea from Andre. Out on actually doing it. So he's in that the Titans are.
What is that?
No,
what
I
does
think
that
I know what
even
he's saying.
mean?
Because he likes that the Titans are.
Please transcribe Andre's in on the idea, out on actually doing it. So then you're out on the idea.
What I believe Andre is trying to say here is that he's in on the Titans poking around and sniffing around some big time free agent options, but the price tag that comes with L'Jarius Sneed and what the Titans would have to do to even roster him is a little too much for him being in on the player. In on the idea of poking around on big time free agents, out on this particular player. Is what I think Andre's trying to say. Andre, correct me if I'm wrong. Bucks Burner says that he's out. Bucks Burner also said that he would listen to the Tighten Up podcast this morning. So you're a W. Out. We have no draft capital. We need it for the next 2 years. Kenny Hill's out. Curtis says, man, you know what? I'm in. Jeffrey says he's completely out. Paul's in. We have out from Corey, out from Phil. Let's see, out from Biggie. We've got out from Brandon. In from Nate's Burner. Rooney and David are both out. Darius is kind of out. Got holes to fill throughout the draft. Out from Brad. Out from Hello Ladies. In or interest. Out on second round pick from Patrick Bird. In depending on the price to give up. Memories out. We're going to keep going here. A lot of outs from Caesar, Randy, Tyler. In on the interest from Dylan. So Austin, I'll go ahead and start with my answer.
Hit me with it.
Because I'm in on L'Jarius Sneed, but I'm out on what it would take to land him this cycle at least. Like I think that the Titans need to hold on to their draft picks, and it would probably cost them a second to go get L'Jarius Sneed, and then a hefty chunk of that cap to sign him for 3-4 years down the road. So just because of that, it's not just the contract; it's the draft pick that comes with it. I'm out there. I think you can find a reasonable free agent cornerback that helps you this year, maybe next year in the free agent market. And then, look, patience is a virtue. If you're patient, you'll be rewarded in the NFL. Just wait, take that next step as a football team, win 7, 8, 9, 10 games next season, and then wait till L'Jarius Sneed's a free agent. All you got to give up is a big contract. I mean, you're paying top dollar for L'Jarius Sneed. His value's never been higher, coming off a Super Bowl victory in which he played a big part in. He's a turnover machine. He's a guy who can lock down number one receivers. He's a great player, but I think the Titans would do themselves a disservice by getting rid of a high draft pick like that, in a time where they really need to add young talent at positions of need. And L'Jarius Sneed does feel a big time need for the Titans. But if he was just a free agent, I'd be fine with paying him. But the fact that you got to give up a second as well turns me off to the idea. I'm out on trading for L'Jarius Sneed.
And it looks like a second is what that appropriate fair price would be. I'm going back through the report about from USA Today about the Titans and one of 7 teams having interest in Sneed. Sneed is one of the best zone cover corners in the NFL. According to Next Gen Stats, Sneed allowed no touchdowns in a league low 4 yards per target in zone coverage in 2023. So the guy is really good. really, really good. He's got experience. He's got interceptions. He can take the ball away from the offense. He's a veteran. I think he knows how to lead as well. Jason L., who's got a Kansas City Chiefs logo as his profile, knows that Snead is a shutdown corner. So I am out on this because I think the price is going to be the price should not be this high because the Chiefs are in a spot to where they can't afford both Chris Jones and L'Jarius Sneed. They really need to trade for L'Jarius Sneed. So the NFL, the rest of the league, just watched Patrick Mahomes do this damn thing again and lift up that stupid trophy that everybody's trying to get for the third time. Don't give the Chiefs a second round draft pick for L'Jarius Sneed for the love of the football gods. Please do not do that. They are desperate. They have to trade him, so lowball the hell out of him. Don't let them do it again. They've got Trent McDuffie. They did this again with Travarius Ward a few years ago. Drafted, built him up, let him walk in free agency. The Niners paid him a bunch of money because they had L'Jarius Sneed, who was a young player. Well, now they get L'Jarius Sneed. He's grown up. He's a really damn good corner. He's a free agent, going to get a boatload of money. They got Trent McDuffie at home. Like, don't give the Chiefs a second-round pick, please, to go draft the next guy that's going to be a stud to help Patrick Mahomes win his fourth and his fifth Super Bowl in the next 4 years. So just wait. I am out on the idea of the Titans trading for L'Jarius Sneed. Please don't do this. Don't give the Chiefs any more ammo. And plus, like, the second round pick is 38th overall. That means if you trade a second round pick this year, then the Titans would go from 7th overall to 107. 100 picks between their selections if they did this. Now, I do have something that if the Titans were going to do this, there is only one way for them to get away with trading for L'Jarius Sneed and giving up a pick. And I'll get to where that is. But first, got to tell everybody about our friends at the Bone and Joint Institute, boneandjointtn.org, the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedic and sports medicine care. Whenever an injury pops up in life, make sure you don't let it linger. Once you know it's, I'm hurt, I'm injured, I need to go to get it checked out. Boneandjointtn.org is where you book an appointment. It's so easy to do that. You go to their website, you click make an appointment, you type in your information, you type in you go to the body part that's injured, and it automatically sorts the experts and specialists that deal with those type of injuries and that fits your calendar. And right there, you have an appointment. It's so easy to do. Check them out. The region's destination for comprehensive orthopedic and sports medicine care, boneandjointtn.org.
No appointment needed for BetMGM.com. All you have to do is download the app, sign up, and when you sign up, make sure you plug in our bonus code A to Z Sports to get up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if your first bet misses. They want you to start off in the green. Don't worry about digging yourself out of a hole and stretching yourself out, chasing your losses. Sign up with BetMGM. Start out on top. Bonus code A to Z Sports gets you up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if your first bet misses.
All right. So, Jack, we talked a lot yesterday on the show, Sam and I did, about the idea of trading back. So here's the situation. If the Tennessee Titans want L'Jarius Sneed in free agency or via trade, right, for a veteran, I don't think it's a bad idea for the Titans to get veteran corners in free agency because I just don't think they have the draft capital to get the rookie corner high enough to be a day one impact, right? I think we all believe the Titans are probably going to go tackle, wide receiver, or wide receiver tackle in the first and second round. So let's just say the Titans trade away their second round pick for L'Jarius Sneed. 38's way too rich for that, but let's just live in this hypothetical world. That forces the Tennessee Titans to trade back from 7. Because we talked yesterday about the idea of the Vikings wanting to come up from 11. The Vikings don't have a third round pick. If they want to come up and get J.J. McCarthy to be their next quarterback, then you got to squeeze everything you can out of the Vikings and get the 42nd overall pick. So if the Titans want to do this for L'Jarius Sneed, it is forcing them to trade back from 7 to regain a second round pick that they gave up for Snead. So if you have the 11th overall pick, and we talked through the scenarios of who the Titans can still get at 11, I think Brock Bowers or an offensive lineman is going to be available at 11 based on how the numbers go with 4 quarterbacks going in the top 7. You're going to get Bowers or one of those offensive linemen who can start day one. Now you've got L'Jarius Sneed at a corner, and you can use the 42nd overall pick for an offensive lineman where there are plenty in the first 50 picks with 14 offensive linemen who could be in a top 50 pick in this draft. So that is, if you trade for Snead, you have to trade back from 7. There is no other option.
Yeah, in free agency, it's all about supply and demand for certain teams. And this particular class does supply a handful of cornerbacks that you could plug into your roster and have them start day one of training camp. One of those guys that a lot of Titans fans have been attracted to since the Brian Callahan hire is Chidobe Awuzie, who would come at not only a lesser cost, but would come without having to give up a draft pick. So a guy like Chidobe Awuzie, or maybe a Kendall Fuller, or Kenny Moore, C.J. Henderson, there's a handful of different cornerbacks that are not only affordable, but are straight up free agents. You wouldn't have to trade away a pick to go get them. So because that there is that supply, at the cornerback position, I don't think the Titans should have to pony up and pay top dollar for a guy who's coming off the best year of his career and who's gained the most amount of attention that he's ever had in this league. There is a little bit, you're going to overpay in free agency. It's just natural. You're bidding against other teams. The price is going to get raised. But I just don't think that the Titans are in a position to be, and I know that they have a lot of salary cap space, but I don't think that they should, just because you could do it doesn't mean you should do it. There are just better options at a lower price. And you're not bargain bin. You're not dumpster diving for these cornerbacks. You're still getting good players at that position, but you're also keeping your future intact. You got to keep those high draft picks. Go out and sign a free agent that makes sense without giving up a second round draft pick, and you're good. And then you can solve a different issue. That's 2 birds in one stone with, bringing in L'Jarius Sneed. I don't know that he's, a top 5-10 defensive player in the NFL that can change your defense by bringing him in. I think if you just find an above average corner to go out and get for $8, $9, $10 million a year rather than paying 13 or 14 to L'Jarius Sneed and a draft pick, then you can do more things on the offensive line. You can go out and add a mid-level wide receiver. There's just different holes that you can fill there while also holding onto your draft picks for the future. That's why I would prefer a guy like a Awuzie or a Kenny Moore or somebody like that in free agency.
Yeah, and now Kenny Moore is a slot defender, and you already have Roger McCreary, so I don't think Kenny Moore is as much of a fit. We also know that Denard Wilson likes to play aggressive, so you want to get corners that are that love and thrive in man-to-man coverage, because they're going to be multiple. I know that at corner, but I do think getting guys that are more man corners than zone corners are important. Now, the guys you listed are just going to be lesser players, like Awuzie, Moore. Who else did you mention of corners that could be out there for free agent signings rather than a trade?
Kendall Fuller's out there. He's 29 years old. He's still got some good football left in it. I mean, there's a handful of guys. Steven Nelson had a big-time year with the Texans last year. Jalen Mills is about to turn 30, but he's an established cornerback in this league. So there's a handful of different dudes that you could plug into this Titans team, and it would be an automatic upgrade because, at the end of the day, how much of a drop-off could you possibly have? Yeah.
Well, they don't have anybody. Roger McCreary is under contract. I think Trey Avery is under contract. And those are your top 2 corners that you have, because Sean Murphy-Bunting, Christian Fulton are both unrestricted free agents at this point. I don't think the door is shut on one of those guys coming back, Fulton or Sean Murphy-Bunting, but who knows? And I think, L'Jarius Sneed is a high-level player. He's 15th on our top 105 free agent big board on A to Z Sports.com. His projected contract from A to Z Sports, Josh Keepo, is $19 million on average per year, 4 years, $76 million. So you're just under the $20 million corner. I just feel like this is a move that the Titans are not ready for. The Titans need to not take off as big of a bite this year, because there's so many other holes. Why are you going to invest a bunch of money? Let's say you invest $40 million in L'Jarius Sneed in a trade in the first 2 years. Are you winning anything? Where does
Exactly.
that take you? Does that take you from 7 wins to 9 wins? I mean, that could be the difference in a playoff spot, sure. But is L'Jarius Sneed worth 2 wins? Probably not. That's just not how the quarterback position works. So I think it's more of a contender. But it goes back to my problem is, please, for the love of the football gods, don't give the Chiefs a second-round draft pick for L'Jarius Sneed. They have to trade him. They can't afford to have both Chris Jones and L'Jarius Sneed on their roster because of the cap situation they're in. And so milk it. I think another thing you could do is wait until after the draft, right? I think after the draft, and if Sneed still hasn't been traded yet, do the same thing I said with T. Higgins. Offer something up for a 2025 pick that's not going to break your bank and not going to just allow the Chiefs to take advantage of the league again.
Let me ask you a question on this, because I totally agree that if you bring him in now, how much can he really fix just by being a cornerback in an offensively driven league? I think you still have some of those issues that you had last year continue to pop up, and he doesn't necessarily erase. He's not necessarily a wideout guy, for your roster. But if the Titans had a year like the Texans just had, where you make a huge splash, you feel confident about the future of your franchise, you have less holes up front because of what you've done in the draft over the last few years, you won a playoff game. If you're in the Texans spot, do you make that trade if you're Rand Carthon? Because I think that's something. I think you definitely have more incentive because your window has just opened, right? The Titans' window isn't open yet. They have a long ways to get to just to unlock the window. The Texans' window is open. So for a team like the Texans, I think that trade makes more sense. But because the Titans aren't caught up yet and they're still trying to keep up with the Joneses in the AFC South, you wait. You wait for your team to rise to that level. And then when you're in a win now mode, you make a trade like this to take your team over the top.
Yeah.
But
And
they're
the thing
not there
about
yet.
and the Texans have a lot of space. They've got 70 million, according to Spotrac, under the cap. The Titans are that 80 number right now. That obviously that number continues to move all over the damn place because it's confusing. But so the Texans could afford to do that. No doubt about that. All right. So I did want to get to a super chat here before we move on to our next topic with rival free agent targets for the Titans. Andre says trading back from 7 to get another second makes Sneed even more expensive. He's not worth missing an elite wide receiver or tackle. Also, you'll see Paul K. Denver trade. I don't know what the Paul Karski Denver trade was, but we talked about yesterday. I think I deleted the graphic unfortunately, but the Bills gave up 2 second rounders and for Josh Allen to move up from 12 to 7 for Josh Allen in 2018. And so, if Denver wants to move up from 12 to 7, then that's there's some precedent right there. I don't know what Paul said about the Denver trade after the Russell Wilson news, but we spent a lot of time on that yesterday here on the show. But all right, Jack, I've got 2 rival free agents. The Colts use the franchise tag on Michael Pittman Jr. That takes a big name wide receiver off of the free agent market. The Jacksonville Jaguars use the franchise tag on edge rusher Josh Allen. That means Calvin Ridley is set to hit the free agent market. And the Jags also had to cut a couple defensive players to create space for that franchise tag for Josh Allen. And they cut Darius Williams, a really good cornerback for them. And so we'll go through Darius Williams and Calvin Ridley. Darius Williams cut because of this. Saves $10.5 million cap hit. He had 9 passes defended and 4 interceptions last season. And Calvin Ridley now hits the market. He was one of just 10 receivers with 1,000 yards and 8 touchdowns in 2023. The 7th receiver in Jags history to go over 1,000 yards right there. I'm reading from our franchise, our contract projections article. In Calvin Ridley's last 2 full seasons, because he got suspended for betting a couple years ago, he's got 270 targets, 166 catches, almost 2,500 yards and 17 touchdowns in his last 2 full seasons. That is a lot of yards, a lot of touchdowns, great production right there. So, our question now is which of these two Jags would you prefer in free agency? Would you prefer Darius Williams at cornerback, who had 4 interceptions and 9 passes defended last year, just cut by the Jags to save $10.5 million, or Calvin Ridley, who is now the number 1 free agent wide receiver after T. Higgins, Michael Pittman Jr. both get the franchise tag, and Mike Evans re-signs with Tampa. So do you want to go spend number $1 at Calvin Ridley or add Darius Williams, a cornerback who had 5 picks last year, who's also, both guys are around 30. Calvin Ridley's 29, Darius Williams is 30, so both veteran players. But who would you rather have, Calvin Ridley or Darius Williams from the Jags free agents? We'll get to all of your answers, but Krebs Kubota is where you should turn for all of your equipment needs. It is springtime, baby. KrebsKubota.com. We're about to roll those clocks forward on Sunday, which means outside projects take the forefront and the priority after you've been working on the inside of your homes for the all winter long. Krebs Kubota, an elite Kubota dealer, which has the best equipment in the industry, the best warranties in the industry. They can help you out with whatever you need, whether you need that new mower, the new trimmer. If you got a tricky yard, maybe you need a zero-turn mower, maybe you've got a ditch or a hill that you have to be careful with. Get the right piece of equipment for you and use the Krebs family's business and the family name for the best customer service to know what you need. You go into Krebs Kubota, they got 3 locations, Columbia, Franklin, and Murfreesboro. You go and say, hey, here's what I got. I've got this hill. I got to be careful. And they'll set you up with the right thing. Talk about square footage. They talk about all the projects you want to get accomplished. If you just need to rent the equipment, they can do that for you for a weekend project, whether it's your home or commercial for your business, whatever you got going on. KrebsKubota.com is where to go.
BetMGM.com is where to go if you're looking to get some skin in the game. There's all kinds of action going on right now. There's college baseball every single day. The MLB's right around the corner. The Nashville Predators, win streak snapped last night in heartbreaking fashion, but still added a point. There's a lot of stuff going on to get some skin in the game with BetMGM. Download the app. Use our bonus code A to Z Sports, and new users cash in on a great deal where you get up to $1,500 back in bonus bets if your first bet misses. Don't miss out. Sign up with BetMGM.
Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. 21 or older. Tennessee only. New customer offer. All promotions, subject to qualification, eligible requirements. First online room money wager. Only rewards. You choose knowledgeable bonus bets. Bonus bets expire 7 days. And for following game sport, call Tennessee Red Line 800-889-9789. Jack, I'll toss it to the chat. Which Jags free agent are you more interested in the Titans going after? Wide receiver Calvin Ridley, who's put up a ton of incredible stats in his last 2 years, sandwiched his gambling suspension year, or Darius Williams, a cornerback who had 4 picks last year for Jacksonville, who was a salary cap casualty after the Jags tagged Josh Allen yesterday. Which Jags free agent is the better fit for the Titans? Calvin Ridley or Darius Williams? What's the chat saying today?
Kenneth is going to start us off on Facebook. He says Ridley for $16 million a year. He's all for it.
Yeah, AJ was also great for $16 million a year too, right? Right, Kenneth?
Ridley from IR Hoshi. Let's see. It's not about the right. It's about the right fit. If it's not about the right name, Rodney says. Calvin Ridley's name obviously carries more weight. Stephen King passes on both. Curtis C says it's Darius Williams. Kenneth says bring in Williams, better than what we have now, and he's not wrong about that. Ross Biggie says he likes both, but he'll take Williams if he's got to pick one. Jeffrey says it's obviously Ridley. Is both an option from Derek?
Sure.
I doubt both is an option, but
why not?
You know what?
Why not?
You know what? If that's one way to really weaken the Jaguars while also bettering your own roster.
Well, look, the Jags are kind of desperate. The Jags might still try to bring back Calvin Ridley, but he's the number 1 guy. Mike Evans back with Tampa.
It's important to note that if the Jaguars do re-sign Calvin Ridley, they'd have to give up, what is that, a 2nd-round pick that was in the contract when they added Calvin Ridley from Atlanta. So Deshaun Watson says it's Ridley. Top Tier says it's Williams.
Deshaun Watson watching the show?
Deshaun Washington. Let's see. Ridley on a 2-year deal. Ridley hands down from Jaron. Ashley says it's Williams. Demetria says it's Ridley. Terrence says it's Ridley. Both, but I'm going to take Ridley for the game, says Darius. Williams from Willie, both from Corey. Ridley from Scott, Ridley from Jody. Ridley is the most popular answer right now. Ridley from American Toff. Both, but Ridley, if I can only choose one from Brock, Ridley from Houston. And like I said, Williams from Patrick Bird, Williams from Titans Kyle. All right, let's dive into this. I think it's a great question because there's upside to both players. However, both players are on the wrong side of 30 years old. And that's something that I think is important to keep an eye on. So when you talk about adding Calvin Ridley, it's probably going to take around $17, $18 million a year to do so. And I'm fine with spending the money.
Do you want to know what our projection is?
Go ahead and lay it on me.
3 years, 60 million. So 20 per. Year one cap hit of 7 is what we've got on A2ZSports.com in our top 105 contract projections article. I'm going to go ahead and copy and paste this here in the chat for you guys. But he is the 14th highest guy on our list. Now, our list includes the ones that have been franchise tagged. It also includes Mike Evans. So continue that. But 20 million per year is the number. And how much has that gone up? Because Evans re-signed for 26 per. And then you've got 2 franchise tag receivers of T. Higgins and Michael Pittman Jr. are at 21.8 on the franchise tag.
Yeah, so Calvin Ridley's 29. Darius Williams, I believe, is going to be 31 by the time the league year starts. And Calvin Ridley is coming off a big-time year. You mentioned 1,000 yards, and he tore up the Titans a couple occasions last season, especially when Christian Kirk was unavailable late in the year. Calvin Ridley had that big game. So the Titans know just what Calvin Ridley's capable of doing. And look, last year it was a year off of a year-long suspension from gambling, and he still put up 1,000 yards and 8 touchdowns. So there's no doubt that Calvin Ridley can still get it done at an elite level. Darius Williams, on the other hand, is 31 coming off his best year. Are you paying top dollar for a guy who really hasn't done much in the NFL? He's been like a starter for four straight seasons, but he's bounced around a lot. Hasn't really been a Pro Bowl caliber player. So my answer to this question is Calvin Ridley. It takes a weapon away from Trevor Lawrence, who I believe, Duval County is starting to raise a few questions about him after this last year. You add Calvin Ridley to this team. You draft a guy like Malik Neighbors or Roma Dunze, and you've got your big 3 right there. I think that Calvin Ridley makes the most sense between the 2 players, Darius Williams and Ridley. You weaken the Jags on offense. You get better. You surround Will Levis with another veteran option who's a little bit younger than D-Hop and has much less tread on his tires after taking a year off because he was forced to take a year off. But I just think that Ridley aligns with Callahan's vision more so than Darius Williams does. And because he's a better fit there, and because he's an established receiver in this league, and he proved that he can get back to that level after a year off, I think that Ridley's your answer at wide receiver. You're able to spend some money in a position of need while also going young in the draft at a position of need. And then you've got a big 3 right there. And maybe it only lasts for a year because D-Hop's only got a year left. But you've got a replacement option for when D-Hop leaves. You've got Ridley to fall back on. And then you've got your wide receiver that you've drafted to become the face of the franchise down the road. So you set yourself up for the future, add a weapon to Will Levis, make Callahan's life easier on offense. I think he checks more boxes than Darius Williams would at cornerback at 31. So for that reason, I'm in on Ridley and out on Darius Williams. But I do understand that Williams would be an upgrade at cornerback as well. So I don't fault the chat for those who sided with Williams in this discussion. But when you give me both of those players, I'm taking Ridley all day, every day, and twice on Sunday.
All right, so Bucks Burner says, I'm switching my answer. I didn't know Williams was 31. Give me Ridley. Well, Calvin Ridley's 30. Yeah, well, yeah, but he will be
30.
He will be 30. And then because Williams is 30 and will be 31.
Yeah.
And so they're both on that side. Like Calvin Ridley was like a 20-year-old freshman at Alabama.
And that's the thing.
Do you remember that? Did you remember that? He was like, maybe he was like 21. It was
I don't know what happened in high school.
Both him, you remember Riley Ridley, his brother at Georgia? For whatever reason, both those dudes were like 20 or 21-year-old freshmen in college. I don't know what their parents did, but it kind of screwed them over. in the long term. Like maybe they were better in Pop Warner because they were held back a little bit or something, but it really screwed him over because this guy's hitting free agency at going into 30 years old when he's only played like 4 years or 5 years
Yeah,
in the league.
5 years, and he's 29 years old. So while that is weird, like, does it make him more?
Pre-COVID. This isn't like a COVID drafted guy. He was like 21 as a freshman at Bama.
But when you're looking at every 29-year-old, 30-year-old wide receiver, like they've all got mileage. Calvin Ridley, he's done a lot of great things in the league, but he doesn't come with that mileage. Like he's probably not, biologically 30, like with his body, his knees, and his, he's had two 1,000 yard seasons, one 1,300 yard season in Atlanta, but he's not an 8-9 year vet like most of these players are when they become a free agent at 29 years old. He's only got 5 years of experience under his belt. So I think that, maybe his prime gets extended a little bit.
Yeah, look, Eric says parents screwed over the kid that's become a millionaire. Okay, you missed the joke, like of the.
I don't think it's
the
that
whole,
serious. Yeah.
No, it was literally a joke. Like, oh, and look, years matter, right? If you can hit that's why a lot of NFL players said, and I would rather be an undrafted free agent than I would be a 7th round draft pick, because the undrafted free agent hits free agency after year 3, or the 7th rounder hits free agency after year 4. So if you prove yourself, then you'd rather go out there and you hit free agency earlier to make more money in the long haul. That was the joke that I passed along. Of course, like it's like the Mr. and Mrs. Ridley produced 2 NFL receivers that balled out in the SEC. They did just fine. But the joke of holding your kids back for sports, in elementary school is what I was hitting on. So I did see somebody saying that they're out on $20 million a year for a 30-year-old Ridley. And so I did see Titans Kyle says Spotrac has Ridley at 17.5 per year. Bucks Burner asked how close was our A to Z projection to what Mike Evans got. Mike Evans got 26 a year. We projected him at 25 per year. So just $1 million off. And I think 17.5 on Spotrac for Calvin Ridley is so low considering he's the number 1 guy. And there is a drop off after Calvin Ridley at the free agent wide receiver. If Calvin Ridley's number 1, you have to drop down and you go to number 2 is Gabe Davis. And then you find yourself in the Gabe Davis, Hollywood Brown type of area. And I don't think Titans fans are super excited about what, Odell Beckham Jr. or Tyler Boyd and Darnell Mooney really are. That's kind of the area you're in. But that's after Ridley, that's the area of free agent receiver that you're in. Darnell Mooney, Tyler Boyd, Gabe Davis, Hollywood Brown, Curtis Samuel. Like nothing super surprising. So
yeah,
go ahead.
Hollywood Brown would be the most attractive, like the best of the rest to me, just because Kyle Phillips hasn't really proven that he can stay on the field, and you could use a guy who could stretch the defense like Hollywood Brown is capable of. But again, he's going to even be in the $15 million range. So you're not saving all that much just by dropping a tier at wide receiver. If you're going to spend at wide receiver, do it on a guy that can succeed. And, if they do add Calvin Ridley, the Titans would then have 3 potential wide receiver 1s on their roster. DeAndre Hopkins, Calvin Ridley, and Malik Neighbors or Rome Odunze. Like that is an idea that I fantasize about, and I'm sure Titans fans share that sentiment with me. But, it is a steep price tag to pay. And I think you can maybe validate it with the fact that you kind of have D-Hop on a team-friendly deal right now. So you do have a little wiggle room at wide receiver in the spending budget.
So I actually think I go with Darius Williams of the 2 Jags free agents. I think Calvin Ridley is going to be too rich for what the Titans should spend at the position in free agency, because I am all in on getting a young stud in this draft class as an offensive weapon. And I think signing Calvin Ridley for north of $20 million a year at this point because of the bidding, I think that makes it really tough for you to go wide out at 7. Because now you've got a lot of money. You got
only 30 mil though, and then a rookie deal.
we had $35 million in D-Hop and Ridley. I just don't, with the holes this team has, going your biggest contract, that would be the biggest free agent contract, would it not?
Yeah.
If the Titans sign Calvin Ridley, that's as big as they're going to go. So then you're signing your biggest free agent at wide receiver, plus your top draft pick at wide receiver. I just think that's too many eggs in that basket for this offseason. And so
now we're saying there's such a thing as too many good wide receivers, where for 2 decades there hasn't been a single good wide receiver.
With the offensive line that is had here, I think Calvin Ridley and a 7th overall pick wide receiver plus DeAndre Hopkins is too much in one area because the offensive line hasn't been addressed with the bigger money.
But D-Hop's only got a year left.
I understand.
He's not going to hang around. So Ridley is your replacement there.
I think I think the Titans should spend more money in free agency on the defensive side of the ball so they can draft their long-term fixes on offense. And so that's where I say you're going to need, yes, sign a free agent veteran receiver, but don't make it the number one guy that you're going to bid like crazy for. Make it the next tier. He's a really good above average starter that you can go in and play with D-Hop and a high pick to bridge the gap. Like a Rashard Matthews. And Rashard Matthews left the team, quit midseason. You guys can hold that against him all you want. You can hold him against it all you want. But that was the right level free agent receiver for the situation the Titans were in. He worked. He worked hard. He wasn't a diva until he quit because of coaching differences there with LaFleur and Rashard. And I reported on that, so I know. But I think that was the right level of free agent wideout for that moment. You're trying to look for that type of level. You're trying to like Darnell Mooney or Hollywood Brown. I think those are the right level free agent wideout to go with, your rookie so you can spend more money on defense. You need 2 inside linebackers. You got to have 2 corners in free agency, probably a safety. So there's 5 defensive players that you need in free agency. So do that, get veterans that know how to play ball, and then go draft your long-term fixes on offense.
I hear you. And I think that, look, spending money on defense and free agency makes sense if you're going to draft an offensive-heavy draft class.
Again, right? Because you just drafted 6 offensive guys last year.
So I understand the strategy behind that. But I just worry about Darius Williams because he's coming off a year where he had 4 picks, but in the 6 years before last season, he had 6 picks total in his career. So was it a flash in the pan season from a guy that's a little over the hill at 31, that will turn 31 here in it looks like 8 days in Darius Williams? I look, he would be an upgrade. He definitely would. I just don't know if the Titans want to hang their hat on a guy who's going to turn 31 instead of going younger and even cheaper at Awuzie or somebody else in the market, or drafting a guy in the 3rd round at corner to maybe help plug and play early. You're going to throw, a little bit of money at that position anyways, but I just wonder if there's not a better, cheaper, and younger option out there instead of Darius Williams. That's my only thing. I feel confident that Ridley, if you put him on the offense, is a 1,000-yard guy. I'm not so confident that Darius Williams plugged in at cornerback, and this is a guy who would probably have to step in at CB1 unless they went out and found somebody different. But I'm not so confident he can be a number 1 corner in this league for the price that he's going to receive in the market.
Well, we don't know what his price is going to be because he just got cut. In these type of guys, like Darius Williams is going to make less money this upcoming year with somebody not named the Jags for what he was going to make with the Jags before, because he got cut for salary cap situation. Kane says Austin is babbling. I think I'm being pretty clear. I'd rather spend more money and more guys on defense and free agency to draft your future and to draft that fix on offense. And so, like, if you guys disagree with it, I just don't think Calvin Ridley is something to go all in on as the number 1 wide receiver. He's going to steal your money and go way over budget. He's a good player. I don't mean steal your money in that way by not playing well, but I just don't think it's worth getting in the wide receiver one free agency bidding war for the Titans when they have so many holes on the roster. Draft a guy at 7 and build your defense back up through veterans who know how to play ball for Denard Wilson.
So you're okay. I think I got you here. You are in the boat of you would rather pay a second tier option at wide receiver, right? Like you'd rather add a Hollywood or Gabe Davis than a Calvin Ridley.
Gabe Davis, I've already stated I kind of want to stay away from Gabe Davis, but I think Hollywood Brown, Darnell Mooney are the right type of free agent addition for the Titans here.
So the difference between Calvin Ridley and say Hollywood Brown on the market's going to be what, around $5 million probably? Is that fair? 5, maybe more. 6.
Probably about 6 to 7. And I'll restate it a different way. So Kane doesn't think I'm rambling. The Titans' highest paid free agent addition should not be a wide receiver. Does that make sense? It should not be a wide receiver.
Okay. So if you want to save $6 to $7 million in the wide receiver position
per year,
I get it. Darius Williams' contract, his market value is projected to be 12.8 on Spotrac. That's pretty hefty. But you could go get a guy like Chidobe Awuzie, who A to Z I know has around $8-9 million per year. So you save for almost $5 million on corner. You go invest that at wide receiver and you upgrade from Hollywood Brown to bring in Calvin Ridley. Then boom, you've got Awuzie on defense, Ridley on offense, and you start feeling really good about that. Nobody you're adding
do both corners. Do both corners. Do Williams and Awuzie, and then draft Rome Odunze. Does that rhyme work for you?
Yeah, like look, if that's how you want to invest your budget.
Do both corners. If both those corners add up to $21 million average per year, that's probably equal to what Calvin Ridley is going to get, and you draft Rome Odunze. Now you've got 2 brand new starting corners, Roger McCreary in the slot. Now you're way more competitive on defense. And boom, draft Rome or Neighbors or whoever's there at 7 at wide receiver. And now you've got that stud. And now you've got D-Hop to bring them along.
Callahan's always had a big 3 at wide receiver, though. Even when he's an offensive assistant in Denver, right? It was Emmanuel Sanders, Eric Decker, Demaryius Thomas. And then he goes up to Detroit. And you had prime Golden Tate, Marvin Jones Jr., and you had an Anquan Bolden who's still productive up there. And he comes from Cincinnati, who obviously had Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and Tyler Boyd. He's always had a big 3. So I imagine he wants 3 capable receivers this year. And if Treylon Burks your wide receiver 3, then you're in some serious trouble because of his consistency issues in the NFL that he's shown since he came to Nashville. So I think that he wants 3 capable guys out wide. And Calvin Ridley and a first-round receiver, second-round receiver, however the Titans, opt to fix that in the draft. That's your big 3 right there. That's what Callahan's used to working with. And I think that he's going to – I truly believe that he's going to not only draft a receiver in round 1 and round 2, but he's going to make a splash at the wide receiver position in free agency. Whether it's Calvin Ridley or someone else remains to be seen. But just like the Titans were in on L'Jarius Sneed, I think the Titans should be in on Calvin Ridley.
All right, that's fine. I think it's too much. I think it's too expensive for the Titans' biggest signing to be a wide receiver. You've got Xavier saying that out here. Where did Xavier's comment go? Xavier saying Austin is saying a whole bunch of nothing. I think I'm laying out my plan pretty damn clearly for a whole bunch of nothing, Xavier, is that I would sign 2 corners that would equal the price of Calvin Ridley, and then go draft a guy at 7 in Neighbors or Odunze, whoever's there. And that's making it much better. That's a whole bunch of nothing, according to Xavier.
No, your plan is very straightforward, and it's simply just a different preference in what you prioritize in free agency. Like for me, I want to prioritize defense. Exactly. You want to go defense, I want to prioritize offense because I think that the offense was just so far behind the 8 ball. If you supplement it through the draft, that's not enough. You got to get guys who are established in this league as well. But look, let's face it. The best teams in the NFL win with a passing offense and sustain success with a good passing defense. The Titans had neither last year. They need to fix those 2 things in the offensive line before they consider anything else on this roster. So,
Yeah.
no matter how you slice it,
Right.
cornerback, wide receiver, offensive line, however you want to rank those are your top 3 priorities this offseason.
So again, I've already said you have to. I think you got to sign 5 players in free agency on defense alone: 2 corners, a safety, and 2 inside linebackers. That's what you need on defense at the bare minimum in free agents, veterans. You also probably need to sign 2 offensive linemen in free agency because you're only going to draft 1 start on the offensive line that you can count on in the first or the second round pick. You don't have a third round pick, so your 4th rounder is going to be a starter. I think that's where a free agency class of 5 defensive players, 1 wide receiver, and 2 offensive linemen. Now you're talking about 8 guys that are veterans, 5 defense, 3 offense to go along with a highly drafted offensive lineman and a highly drafted wide receiver round 1 or 2. Now there's 10 players to go into that addition that can make you more competitive. And you're using youth on offense to be molded by the new head coach, where Denard Wilson as a D coordinator is using veterans that know what to do so they don't have a learning curve. They can plug in and play. That's how I would do it.
I hear you. Look, because I know that the Titans absolutely need, players on defense. I'll listen to you. To me, it's personal preference. I want to get a wide receiver who's been there and done that. That's what I need.
I hear you. All right, Jack. Been there, done that with sports trivia. Are you ready for sports trivia, my friend? We will get it going here to wrap up this Wednesday show. As always, shout out to Wilson County Hyundai. Make them a part of your new car buying process. Go see our friend Payne Bone and his team in Lebanon, or hit them up online at wilsoncountyhyundai.com. They will save you some money. Don't pay those downtown prices for no reason with your new ride. wilsoncountyhyundai.com. Jack, are you ready for our transition here?
Boom. Let's do this thing.
All right, we did it. Very good, Jack. You're getting better.
Crossing our fingers for no Google ads.
It'll happen. Google, that's just what Google does, is make money. All right, I will pick the first category, and as always, the second category is picked by somebody in the chat. I'm keeping my eye out for the first chat suggestion right there. And so no Googling is the rule. So I will start us off with music.
Korean singer and rapper Psy is most known for this 2012 song that hit number 2 on the Billboard Hot 100 and has amassed over 5 billion views on YouTube. Austin, I know this. Do you know this?
Oh, God. For some reason, this is permanently linked in my brain to a Halloween party I went to that year. That damn Gangnam Style song.
Gangnam Style. There it is. Here we go. 1 for 1. Shout out Gangnam Style.
Next category.
Moving
Orlando was first in the trigger with chain restaurants.
Founded in Georgia in 1932, this regional fast food chain is known for its slider burgers with steamed onions and is a competitor often compared to White Castle.
Man, I think if they would have left the White Castle thing out of there, we could have had a really good toss up of which one is it going to be, White Castle, or is it going to be, like Patrick says, Crystal?
Yeah, it's Crystal, and I'm a Crystal diehard. I think that it's the best fast food option out there. I know a lot of people are going to disagree, but the slider burgers are addicting, and you can't fight me on that. The fries, there's room for improvement over there. I'll admit that. I'm willing to admit
Nobody's
that.
going to Crystal's for the fries.
Nobody's going there for the fries, but the slider burgers are fire, and so are we. We're 2 for 2.
All right, man. Again, memories ingrained in my brain. University of Tennessee, right off of campus, they had a 24-hour walk-up window at the local Crystals.
Hell yeah.
Which is where every fight went down at 4 a.m. because people were jumping line and trying to cheat the Crystal line once the bars closed at 3. It was a place to be, but also a place to avoid. All right, television is next.
That sounds a lot like Cookout in Oxford, Mississippi.
Yeah, Cookout came a couple years later.
All right. Dominic Purcell and Wentworth Miller played 2 incarcerated brothers in this Fox serial drama that originally ran from 05 to 09. Dominic Purcell, who's lately been linked to Miley Cyrus's mother and sister. How about
What?
that?
How does
data?
that work?
Yeah, look, I'm staying out of it. Okay, I
That's
just read headlines.
Man, that's some Earl Thomas stuff.
Dominic Purcell. Yeah, it really is. Dominic Purcell and Wentworth Miller, two incarcerated brothers in this Fox serial drama.
Prison Break is the answer that the chat
consensus?
is. Yeah. I've never seen it.
Me neither. Prison Break?
Yep. Man, so many Prison Break answers. Retail and shopping.
Max Levshkin, Peter Thiel, Luke Nozick, and Elon Musk are all co-founders of this multinational financial technology company that is an electronic alternative to traditional paper methods. Is that just Tesla?
No, there's no way.
Okay.
Paper methods. Is it Tesla?
I don't know, because I feel like Tesla is all-encompassing kind of
PayPal.
technology.
It is PayPal. Yes, Phil got it first. PayPal is where freaking Elon started this ridiculousness.
All right,
I feel like PayPal is correct.
Bang, 4 for 4. Good stuff,
All right,
Phil.
good job by Phil. Orlando also came in strong with that one. Movies.
Celebrity mashup I always dread. All right, movies. This woman has taken home the Oscar for Best Actress 3 times, including for her roles in Fargo, Nomadland, and 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri. Dang it. I have not seen Fargo. It's on my list of things to do.
I haven't either. Wait, is that movie called 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri? That's the title of the
Shout out Ebbing, Missouri for getting their name in a movie title, though. I mean, I don't know if anybody even in that town saw that coming. Okay.
We're getting a lot of Frances McDormand.
Well, it's someone I've never heard of, which means it's probably right. McDormand?
Where McDermott.
McDermott.
Like Doug.
How do you spell Francis, right?
E-S. E-S.
Oh, okay.
McDormand.
Here we
go.
Sometimes like you just got to let the dozen autocorrect help you out. That's 5 for 5. That. We're on to celebrity mashup. Am I right?
Celebrity mashup. Let's do it.
Oh God.
Oh,
heinous.
Dear. I think I actually know this.
He's got like a Vince McMahon style haircut.
Oh, the Mel Gibson is absolutely the outside. That is 1000% Mel Gibson. I feel like the inside might be Rob Schneider. Because I think that's Rob Schneider's eyes. Ooh, we've also got a Jeremy Renner from Scott. Could that
Why is Jeremy Renner not ringing a bell?
You know him. I just don't have it.
I know Rob Schneider.
Man, Brendan Fraser. It's definitely not Rob Schneider anymore. It's Brendan Fraser.
Okay.
I think that's Brendan Fraser.
No.
Oh, no. Okay, we'll have to come back. Okay, college basketball.
This Iowa big man was a 4-year starter from 2017 to 2021, a 2-time consensus All-American, and the 2021 AP Player of the Year. This man is in the G League for the Minnesota Timberwolves at the moment. His name is Luka Garza.
Well, I'm glad you got that one. NBA.
Before becoming a superstar in Orlando, Tracy McGrady played the first 3 seasons of his career with this Eastern Conference team from 97 to 2000.
I want to say Toronto is an option here.
T-Mac in the East. Where the hell did he play?
He and Vince Carter are cousins. And I feel like they were together in Toronto with the Raptors.
That feels right. How's the chat feel?
The Raptors are also all over it in the chat.
Okay. All right. We're running Toronto.
All right, we can't miss. Okay, good. We can't miss anymore because if we miss one more, then we can't double dip our celebrity mashup.
All right, we're going to the NFL. Part of multiple playoff runs, Ahmad Bradshaw played for this NFC team from 2007 to 2012 and rushed for over 1,000 yards in both 2010 and 2012. Ahmad Bradshaw, they had a little two running back system going up there with Ahmad Bradshaw and Brandon Jacobs, right?
Yeah, that's right.
The New York Football Giants.
Bingo, you nailed it. New York Football Giants is exactly how I was going to say it too.
All right, perfect.
All
New York Giants, and we're double dipping.
All right. Who the hell is the inside of this celebrity mashup?
We got Mel Gibson. We missed Brendan Fraser.
All right, so you have to type in Mel Gibson again. So
okay,
you can go ahead and do that. Who the heck is the middle person? It's not Christopher Walken. Who is Jamie Kennedy? Because I don't know who that is, but we just got
I'm not
Jamie
sure.
Kennedy.
You can kind of look, and here, I'll zoom in here to help the chat. Is that a red mustache here?
Oh, it absolutely is. Oh,
red
wow.
Stash?
Yeah, I think the zoom is what helped us because I never saw the mustache. It blended in.
So we've got some red facial hair. Does that do anything?
Green eyes.
It's not like Prince Harry, is it?
It looks like Todd Downing.
Yeah, well.
Who is it?
He's considered a celebrity.
No. But he kind of does look like Todd Downing.
Is it Prince Harry, maybe? No.
I have no idea.
He's not as wrinkled as this man appears to be.
Carrot Top? Carrot Top's gotten old.
No, Carrot Top he doesn't look. I'll just say Carrot Top looks older than he is.
Yes. Carrot Top.
I don't think this is Carrot Top, though.
No. Seth Green? No, that's not Seth Green.
No, I don't think it's Seth Green either.
Why is this so hard? Who is Jamie Kennedy?
Should I Google image Jamie Kennedy, or is that
cheating?
No,
that's cheating. That's cheating. You can't do that.
Okay. Are multiple people saying Jamie Kennedy?
Earlier.
Does the red hair change that answer, I wonder?
I don't know. It's not Ed Helms. Orlando says Jamie Kennedy is from Malibu's Most Wanted. Like that changes anything for me.
Heard it's a good show. Haven't seen it though.
Oh, he was without a paddle. Okay, I know that. That did something for me. Do we do? Let's just go with Jamie Kennedy.
Okay.
But actually, no. Now we're getting. I don't know what to do here.
I can't see the chat comment, so you're gonna have to.
Let's go Seth Green. The mustache makes me feel like Seth Green. Let's go Seth Green. We need to get on with this thing.
Oh. Why is he not an option?
I don't know.
Seth Green, not considered a celebrity.
Well, there we go. We know it's not that. Now we're screwed.
Well, I mean, we still have Jamie Kennedy to fall back on.
I don't think it's Jamie Kennedy because he has red hair, because that's what people are saying. Ed Sheeran. That's not Ed Sheeran.
Not Ed Sheeran.
Jeremy Renner. I don't think it's Jeremy Renner either, but that's another. Let's go with.
I feel like Prince Harry has those eyes.
All right, if you want to go Prince Harry, somebody just said Prince Harry. Let's go Prince Harry.
Okay. I don't feel good about it. He's probably got a real name. Oh, no, there he is. All right.
It's Prince Harry.
Missed it.
Oh,
dang it.
Do we know?
How do we figure out what it is?
Oh, no. We're just going to be left.
We're left in the dark on Celebrity Mashup?
Oh,
no. So there's no way.
Oh.
Rupert Grint.
Oh, yeah. Screw that guy. Screw Rupert Grint.
Who the hell is Rupert Grint?
You tell me Rupert Grint is on this, but Seth Green isn't? Get
That's a
out
fair
of it.
gripe to have. That
Oh my
that's
gosh.
ridiculous.
Brutal.
Look, we weren't perfect, but we gave it a good run. Rupert Grint is
that Ron Weasley?
I don't know. God, is that Ron Weasley? God, he's aged so badly, or not so badly, but just so much. Rupert Grint. That's a fair one to crash out on. I don't know that anybody knows who Rupert Grint is. Oh, they're saying it's Ron.
Oh, wow.
Rupert Grint might trend today.
That's no idea. I had no idea that was who the name of the guy who played Ron Weasley. Yeah, you learned something new.
I'm glad we didn't snub any right answers in the chat. So it makes me feel better that literally nobody came up with Rupert Grint.
We had a team of like 300 people that had no idea who the hell that was. And that makes me feel better about myself. Hey, I'm with Steven. Like the show before you go. Hit that like button. We need more likes. If you're watching on Facebook, if you're watching on YouTube, the like button goes a long way for us. That is a big deal. So please hit that for us. And also, Buck Rising live tonight for A to Z Sports Primetime. So get ready for that coming up on these same channels. Tomorrow, Jack and I will be back. We've got a little choose your fighter show prepared for Thursday or Friday, depending on what else pops up in the NFL. News is crazy in the NFL right now. So stay tuned to all of our social media, A2Zsports.com as well. We'll catch you guys tomorrow on a Thursday. Appreciate it as always.
Tighten Up Podcast out now.